And we can speak now to Ofer Cassif himself, who represents the Hadash party and joins us from Havot in Israel. Mr. Cassif, welcome to Al Jazeera. So let's just go over this. You were forcibly removed after quoting a well-known, internationally respected, award-winning Israeli writer who's very much on the record as saying he could no longer refrain from using the word genocide. And you were then told by the chair of the Knesset session that the quote was made up and asked for you to be removed, even though the quote is well documented. So my question is, do you think this demonstrates the depths of denial in the heart of the Israeli parliament about the reality of what's happening in Gaza?
Of course, that's not a surprise, and it's not the first time. Unfortunately, it's not even the second or the third time that I or one of my comrades is removed during a speech on the podium because we use the accurate term of genocide or atrocities or massacre or war crimes or whatever. We are prohibited or prevented from using the true terms, which do describe the ongoing situation in Gaza. And it is a combination of denial, although, paradoxically or ironically, the same person who actually removed me yesterday, Nisim Vattori, who is a member of the Knesset with the Likud, he actually said explicitly, it was quoted, and I also submitted a complaint against him to the ethics committee of the Knesset a few months ago. He said that Palestinian men in Gaza should be separated from women and children and be shot. So on the one hand, he supports genocide, as I just quoted him. But on the other hand, if someone like myself says and warns against the genocide, then he silences us. So that shows not only the depth of denial, but the depth of the criminal situation and of the paradox and irony that goes on in the parliament and in the Israeli society at large.
So you'll know that this follows on from a report from the Israeli human rights organization, Beit Salem, and the Physicians for Human Rights, saying that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. And then we had that letter, in the last 24 hours or so, from a range of former defense chiefs calling for an end to the ongoing assault on Palestinians. Is the divide growing within Israel as to the policy of killing and starvation that's going on in Gaza, this policy of genocide? If so, where could it lead?
Absolutely. The Israeli society is very polarized. I have to say that I personally was talking about genocide and war crimes already on the October 9th, 2023, in an interview that I had with, I think it was with Democracy Now!, an American broadcast, 2 days after the massacre committed by Hamas. I was talking already about the genocide, and later on, time again. And every time I was sanctioned, either if I said that in an interview or on the podium or in a committee or I tweeted or posted. And in the last few weeks, you can see a change, a shift within the Israeli public discourse. More and more people have the courage now, at last, to say that there is a genocide going on in Gaza, starvation, destruction that should be stopped. As you said correctly, former generals and writers like Mr. David Grossman, who is very acclaimed internationally, and also there was a petition that was published 2 days ago or yesterday by about 1,000 artists. Some of them are very well-known ones, singers and composers and actors, etc., who warn again against the starvation and other atrocities that Israel is responsible for.
So are you then worried about where...
is polarized.
Of course, yeah, well, that's my word, polarized. Are you worried about where this might lead, given the polarization of opinion in Israel that's ongoing?
look, the atmosphere in the Israeli society is very dangerous. I mean, the violence, the level of the violence is increasing on a daily basis. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, my friend and comrade, the chairperson of our list in the Knesset, Mr. Ayman Odeh, and myself, we went for a demonstration in the middle of, in the center of Israel, not too far from my home, and we were almost lynched by the mob, by a fascist mob. 2 days ago, I participated in Tel Aviv, in the center of Tel Aviv, which is supposedly the most liberal place in Israel. I participated in an event organized against the genocide and the sacrifice of the Israeli hostages in Gaza. And also there was some level of violence by a fascist mob against us. And again, I was almost attacked physically. So I'm afraid that we are on a brink of a serious eruption of violence, and I'm afraid even a bloodshed within Israel. I wouldn't say a civil war, but very close to that.
One final thing I need to ask you, because you'll know also about this in the last 24 hours, there have been these persistent reports that Netanyahu plans to double down on Gaza, and indeed we just reported on the meeting with a slimmed-down cabinet that's just ended, discussing the plans to entirely occupy Gaza despite the growing international condemnation. How do you view this?
Well, I think that the writing was on the wall ages ago. It was very clear from the very beginning that the assault on Gaza, and at the same time, by the way, the ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, we shouldn't forget that either, was not because of the massacre of October 7, 2023. It was not for the security of the Israelis or the state of Israel. It was not even a vicious, barbaric revenge, which it is, but it was not the intention. The intention was from the very beginning to pursue the so-called decisive or subjugation plan that Smotrich published 7 or 8 years ago now, and intends to occupy the Palestinian territories and to annex them. They are occupied already, but to annex them and without granting basic rights to the Palestinian people. That's the real messianic, fanatic plan of the government. So we shouldn't be surprised that Netanyahu just declared that. I hope he won't do that. But I'm very, very disappointed at the international community, which has been doing nothing for almost 2 years, while the Palestinian people has been butchered.
Okay.
Very, very disappointed. It seems that the international community hasn't learned anything from what happened in Europe 80 years ago.
Mr. Cassif, we must leave it there. Appreciate your time. That's Ofer Cassif speaking to us there from Israel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.